Hi, this is Magda from the Wnętrza channel, and in this episode I'll introduce you to two books that can easily be called interior design textbooks. The Interior Design Handbook is a book by the Swedish author Frida Remstedt, which in the original is called the Interior Design and Styling Handbook. In Polish, the title is Feel at Home, and it's a bit general and doesn't really suggest what we can find inside, but inside there's a whole lot of very practical and specific information waiting for us. The author discusses basic principles and clever tricks that will help create a pleasant space, even for those people for whom arranging an apartment isn't intuitive at all. By following the rules of composition and using universal tips, we can avoid that effect where it seems like everything is there, but something is still missing. How to choose lighting, how to hang frames, how to arrange a rug, such specific information can also be found in this book. There are no photos inside, but there are plenty of drawings that help you better understand the topics discussed. In my opinion, this is definitely one of the best interior design books because not only will you find a ton of universal tips in it, what's more, it's really beautifully published, and these black and white illustrations definitely add a lot of charm to the book. Unfortunately, the downside is that this book is actually no longer available on the market. I managed to find a few more copies and they are available in our store at Wnętrza.pl, but this is really the last batch, and that's why the price of this book has gone up a lot. I asked the publisher if a reprint was planned, and unfortunately the answer was negative. However, the good news is that I will definitely be using this book as inspiration when preparing various tips for you, which I share in our videos. And of course, a lot of advice from the book has already appeared in the videos, because these are universal tips and many of them are definitely known by architects and designers, even if they've never come across this book. And here, for example, on page 48, the author points out that it's good to keep in mind which direction a given room faces, whether it's south, north, east, or west. And this is a topic I also touched on not so long ago in the video about the apartment with the green kitchen, which had windows facing both north and south, and I showed you the difference in lighting. In the book, you won't see what this lighting looks like in real life in any interior, because there are no photos, only drawings. But I think that watching videos and reading books complement each other really well, and the book is definitely a great summary of information, where everything is in one place, and on top of that, elegantly organized by the table of contents. The second book I want to show you is also a collection of many basic pieces of information about interior design, and I would definitely call it a textbook. It's Idea for a Home by the Polish author Kasia Bobocinska-Czerwinska, whom you might know from the blog Conchita Home. And this book is much more extensive than the Interior Design Handbook, because besides universal tips about composition rules and ergonomics, there are also a lot of very practical pieces of advice. For example, specific interior styles, programs we can use if we want to design our own interiors, or programs that can help us find our own style more easily. Inside you'll find photos, drawings, and collages, a whole set of different graphics that help us get familiar with the topic. However, the illustrations definitely don't play the main role here because the book is packed with information. That's over 400 pages of really a lot of information. Also, it includes specific distances that we should keep between certain appliances and at what height the sink should be so that it's comfortable for most people. There are tons of such details here, and it's not without reason that I call this book a textbook. However, there are moments when I feel that there is actually too much information. For example, here in the color psychology section, there are listed traits that are attributed to różnym kolorom, just like fear, death, and evil are attributed to black. There really are such associations with mourning in our culture. So turquoise means jealousy, silver means no strings attached, and orange means ignorance. Are those really such common associations? I don't think so. And I think in general we can let go of thinking about colors through the lens of how they're perceived in our culture when we're decorating our home. So it's not that I have nothing to criticize. However, considering how much information is in this book, I'm not at all surprised that it's sold out. At this point, you can still buy a few copies in our store at Wnętrza-Zewnętrza.pl. It just so happens that I personally know the author, Kasia Bobocińska-Czerwińska. And I managed to buy a few more copies before they finally disappeared. If you're looking for a book full of practical information, something that will guide you through the interior design process from A to Z, then these books will definitely be a good choice. And if you want something lighter, something to browse through and read at your leisure, something that will inspire you more than a textbook would, then these are the ones. You can also find interior design books in our store, which I warmly invite you to visit at Wnętrza-Zewnętrza.pl. And I'll talk about them in another video. And now I'm saying goodbye to you. I'm looking forward to your likes and comments. I encourage you to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. And I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.